We're seeing the underbelly of humanity in many places in the planet. Whenever there are changes and we feel those changes, it's unknown. And the reason why people are screwed up is because they're trying to hold on to their comfort zone of what they know. A lot of people are having a lot of awakenings now. They're waking up and they don't know what to do. In a period of time where it looks very destructive, but the only way to create anew is like you got to take the building down.
Oh, amazing. Well, we're recording, Colette.
Yes, great. Hi,
Welcome
everybody.
to the podcast.
And this is Bizou, if people are watching.
Hello, Bazoo. Hello. I settle down.
Yeah, settle down now.
My first question to you, my lovely, is how is this year treating you with everything that's shifting?
Well, I'll tell you, I've had a very emotional year, and I'm on. Okay, sorry, I just look like everything froze. So I have had I'm going to say, because I'm such an empath, I feel everything. So it's been for me emotionally very, I'd say big, very, very big. And I've had to triple down on my own spiritual practices to stay really grounded so that I don't kind of go off, because a lot of people are having a lot of, awakenings now. They're waking up and they don't know what to do. A lot of people, right? So it's like we're moving from the head into the heart, and there's also a big split in the world. I feel the split. It's like, and there's three paths now. Like, I've always been a middle person. I've always believed that the middle ground, the middle wave is where the magic is. And that's not a popular way to see the world. But I think now that wave is getting stronger and more people are saying, okay, we need more understanding, more forgiveness, more, let's reach out to something that's new, because the extreme here and the extreme there, it just isn't working. We need to start hearing each other. But it's even different than that. It's not even that anymore. It's let's just connect to this pure consciousness that is coming through us that actually doesn't need to speak to one or the other. It's this other thing. And I guess that's the best way I could describe it to you. And my job is to really help other people stay as grounded as they can as they navigate these changing times, because the chaos is there, but the idea is that we don't want to identify with the chaos. So how can you navigate this wave in such a way that you can trust both and? Like, this is happening. So it's not about bypassing it, but where do you want to place your attention? So and then this year was the year that, because you asked me a question about how was the year, I had made a decision after 25 years to release another album of music, because that was my first career. And it was the most cathartic, scary, terrifying, emotionally amazing, honest thing I've done that I can remember. So that also kind of added to the year, a little more chaos and bringing what I have not been able to say in words into poetry and into an artistic form that serves what I really want to say. So it's just been really amazing this year.
Wow, that's amazing. And how would you, people who don't know you, how would you say what you do for a living currently then?
Yeah.
And to share that with it.
Sure. So I have been a Hay House author since 2005. Hay House is a spiritual publisher in America and in Australia. Most people know me for my oracle card decks. I have 19 oracle card decks published and 2 million sold worldwide in total of all my books and oracle cards, etc. So I have written about, I'm a metaphysical educator. My interest is in the intersection between neuroscience and art. So I'm also an artist. So my latest book is The Art of Manifesting. And I've just been really in this I would say that what my interest has been in personal transformation, using oracles, using these ancient technologies, and in a modern way to help people have a conscious, like a gnosis, a Gnostic experience where they themselves can have that communication with the conscious universe using a tool. So that's really been my focus. So I teach a number of different workshops and courses and certifications based on different ways of approaching this. One is the spirit of your business. The other one is certified intuitive coach. Then I have the art of manifesting, which is a big one. Yeah, so I'm training teachers now for the art of manifesting. So what I do for a living is an evolution, but it's all about emergence. I think if you were to live, just say I support people in their personal transformation and emergence in this new world. That is what I do. And I'm a
Yeah,
medium. I'll tell you that part.
you're a medium as well. Holy moly. No,
Yeah.
that's beautiful because I feel like I'm noticing it even when I put a podcast out at the moment. There seems to be a hunger for what is happening, and also, but also it can take us outside of ourselves, and we're just kind of waiting around for this thing to be over, or if it ever will.
It won't be. See, that's the thing. It's not,
Yeah.
we're not. I think the really important thing is, if yes, people are also interested in certainty. And I think that is the biggest thing we have to be careful about. And that's one of the reasons why I don't make predictions. Like even though I made a living as a predictive reader, that's how I got famous and many years ago. And I was very, very good at it. But now, that's when things weren't moving as quickly. So now you can't see around the corner. Right? You just can't. Not the same way, because we have so many potential choices and different realities that are lining up side by side. It's really, how do we stay in the moment and not wait for this to be over? Because we are in a process. It's like the caterpillar who's stuck in their cocoon. They're not stuck. Part of it's dead, part of it's dying, and the other part's not quite a butterfly and it's gooey. We're in the goo stage. And like, yes, if you only look at the external, all we see and all we get to see, because we're being conditioned to see the world through the lens of fear, and populations are very easy to control if we're in fear. I mean, that's the truth. So we have media that tells us a particular thing that we see. Algorithms tell us what to buy, what to focus on. And people are scared. But that's because you're only looking at that. There's all the stuff that's going on behind the scenes. Part of our evolution is devolution, right? We are in a period of time where it looks very destructive, but the only way to create anew is like, you got to take the building down, to build something new. And you've got to find where the cracks in the foundations are. And that takes time. And there is no instant, oh boy, it's going to be so much better next year. I think it's actually not helpful to tell people that it's more helpful to say, what about if this and that could be true? How could we build and create a reality now, plant the seeds today and now, and tend to that with patience and care and compassion and love and trust. But take the appropriate action. Don't sit and be an armchair astronaut waiting for the world to be better. We can't wait for the world to behave. It's not going to behave. It's not.
No, I love it. I love it. And there always has to be disorder for reorder at a higher level, right? We tend to forget that. I'm really in. Pardon?
I apologize, but it is scary. I think I don't want to diminish that. I think people are scared for good reason. Prices are going up. They don't know if, markets are good, crashing, whatever. Like in AI, all of this is frightening for people because it's so rapid, right? And we're not built for this type of rapid change. We are not biologically created to be able to manage this. So where our nervous systems are fried. So, that's why I say compassion is so important, and kindness, because there are so many people that are on edge and they need hope. But hope isn't in the certainty. Hope is in faith. Hope is in faith that I will continue to do what I need to do one day at a time to ensure that my world is as clean as it can be, if you will, and as And there are some days where I can't do anything. Like there are literally some days where I have such big feelings. Like typically before a full moon, I'm like, I'm useless. I'm canceling everything. I'm just going to read a fantasy fairy book. And I guess it's like, it's the small things that what we contribute. It's not even big. Everybody wants to have this big experience, but you still have to apply this boots on the ground. I believe in boots on the ground spirituality. It's got to be practical. You can tell me till the cows come home you're in ascension mode. Okay, well, what are you going to do to brush your teeth? Like, are you going to be nice to your neighbor now that you've had this ascended moment, right? Like, what is this doing? What can you do with this newness that you have? Like, and you can see the world differently. Well, then how will you behave? These are all things we're responsible for. I have done everything. I'm telling you, I've been doing this work in the intuitive world, the intuitive arts now, for close to 40 years. I'm going to be 68 next month. And I'm telling you right now that I have done it all. I have studied the esoteric sciences. I've done theosophy. I've done the whole Urantia thing. I've done like everything that was popular in the 70s and 80s. Colette's done it. And at the end of the day, I still have to live my life. Right? It's like all the things now that are coming back to people. Oh, this is so cool. Oh, we're going to take ayahuasca. Now we're going to do mushrooms and we're going to do this. I'm like, okay, fine. What are you going to do now that you've had that experience to sustain that and make it real in your life? But people just want instant. But there's lots of people that are willing to slow down. And I think a lot of us that are older, I do think it's for maturity too. I think I've seen it all. I've seen it all. I've done it all. And I'm like, at the end of the day, we all still have to get up in the morning, be with our kids, be with the dogs, pick up the poop. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Be nice to somebody in Starbucks.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Honestly, it's so true. I remember I had a journalist ask me once, and he said, you teach, meditation and run retreats. He said, I know people that meditate and they're still assholes. Why? Yeah. And I was like, you're absolutely right, because it's what we do with our eyes open for the rest of the day is where the true meditation is, right?
But they're less of an asshole for that 45 minutes, right?
Exactly.
5 minutes, they're not putting asshole energy out in the air. And that's got to be for the beginning, because eventually when people meditate for a long, long time, eventually and have an opportunity to change. Right? Like I'm also a drug addict and alcoholic. I'm sober 40 years plus, 40 years, 6 months and so many days, right? So when I say that I'm not now an addict and an alcoholic, but I'm in recovery and I stopped in 1986, January 2nd is my dry date, clean date, but I should be dead. I shouldn't even be alive. And so, for me, that quality of my life and knowing that I have to change and consistently inventory, like, okay, what have I allowed get to me? What am I putting out in the world is what am I unconscious about? And, eventually the more you do the same thing over and over again, that meditator that he's talking about that's an asshole might eventually soften, right? Because the more if you do what you did, you're going to get what you got. So if you do something different, like meditate, like pray and meditate and find a conscious contact to a higher power, that's your own version. Like, I'm not a religious person at all, but I'm all about God, but God isn't the white guy in the sky for me. It's a consciousness and it's nature. It's, and I need to serve that somehow. And that means my human ego self I need to like I have a cleaning lady. I have to have a cleaning lady for my life, right? But yeah, so I guess it's like clean house. Like, what is it? Clean house, help others. Trust God, clean house, help others.
Yeah.
To however we can.
Absolutely. I'm intrigued as well because I know, excuse my ignorance, but I know nothing about it. You mentioned the oracle cards and that they're a tool to connect with that divine consciousness that you speak of. How do you use them? Like, how do you break it down? Like for beginner 101 like me.
I will. So I have 19 decks. So they're all based on a vocabulary. So if you go back in time, way back when, I was a total nerd when I was a teenager in my early 20s, and I was fascinated with ancient oracles. So things like it's called augury, bird divination, and water divination, and ways in which our ancient ancestors learned to communicate with nature. Was they would see patterns, because this is about patterns, and they would reflect back to them. So it's all pattern recognition. So I was always really interested in what was a common denominator of all of them. And so later on, of course, you have runes, which were from the Vikings and the Celts. I'm sure, and the Welsh had runes, which were like, scratches on wood, right? Scratches on wood, etc. And they would show you patterns, and through something called synchronicity. So synchronicity was that divine coincidence that don't make any sense, but they make sense. So you learn to trust that through synchronicity, you're going to see something that's going to reflect you. So oracle cards, they are kind of a modernized version. I can only speak about mine because mine are very specific. What I did, and there wasn't AI when I did it, right? I studied and learned and tried to understand where were the universal cross points of all these different ancient divination systems. So I looked at the I Ching, which is a very, very old Book of Changes, which is Chinese, from China. Then I looked at runes, which were from both the Celts and the Norse. Then I looked at the tarot, which was really legitimately, we know it first showed up in 15th century Italy. And then became, purported to have connections to Egypt, et cetera, because there are all these mythic connections. Well, what they all shared in common was a language, which I call a lexicon. So a lexicon is a vocabulary of symbols and meanings that are universal to all of us. So you would use them, and synchronicity would reflect something back to you about your life. Now, that's what I teach, is that they are less a predictive tool and more a way to understand yourself, and a more of understanding, who am I? What is the energy? What is my dominant energy? And what am I doing with it in the world? And what is my next right action to serve the highest good? That's really, in a nutshell, what I teach. In the past, I used them as doorways into my sight, because I am clairvoyant and I could see things, that were uncanny, and I still can, but I find it much more interesting to give people an opportunity to make decisions for themselves, and to decide if they were, like, I used to ask myself, gosh, if somebody could do something different, if that's where they're heading, what if they worked on themselves? What if they could have a different outcome if they changed the way their energy was and did some work? And I would eventually ask them, like, well, if you could have a different direction, would you take it? If you'd be willing to do the work to do that? And sometimes they'd say yes, sometimes they say no. And you right. So it's a kind of a way in which we can navigate the world. So they become, for me, they're navigational tools that really can teach you, and also teach you how to have a conscious, dynamic relationship with the conscious universe, where it answers you. You talk to it and it answers you back. And I can tell you the reason why I've sold 2 million of them is because they work. They really speak to the human experience as to where we are now. And I kept the universality rather than be very, very specific to culture, because it's, our human beings really haven't changed all that much over time, right? We really haven't. At the core of our being, we are creative. We're creative. At the core of our being, we believe, or we know that there's something greater than us. At the core of our being, we have families. We love, we fear, we see obstacles. We have a life experience. This maybe the environments are different and accoutrements of our life are different, but the human experience is very much the same as it was many, many years ago. It's just a little more complex now. So my decks still have the main lexicon or vocabulary based on those universal archetypes. And then they tell a story, and the more you use them, the easier it is for you to see yourself in the mirror. If you know how to if you are willing to do that. A lot of people tend to look at oracle cards and the tarot as a means to certainty. about the future. And to me, that's a misuse of them. And that's just to me. Like, I'm sure people won't like what I just said. Right? It's like, well, they give me certainty. But the point is that certainty is only, for me, is only in the fact that my certainty is that I know that I will get what I need. And I also know that I don't know the form of anything, that how it's going to show up for me, but through gratitude and through a conscious, like really working on this conscious contact with a higher power than me, greater than me, right? I'm able to discern the whole world is an oracle. The whole world speaks to us. Nature speaks to us once we learn its signs. That's what our ancient ancestors did. They scratched, they drew before anything else. And before there were words, there were drawings. So, part of the research that we did for the art of manifesting was all about that. What was the language that our ancient ancestors used to communicate about their world, about family, about tribe, about connection, about fear, about the hunt, about all the things that we still do. It's just dressed up differently.
No, that's beautiful. Wow. And because in the fast pace of life, we have become so disconnected from ourselves and so disconnected from source through the stresses of modern life. It's like we're forgetting who we are in many ways. Many people.
And I know this you teach. You teach people how to reconnect to who they really are, right? But it's lazy too. It's not our fault. I think that's the other thing. Like, people need to know it's not their fault that they've gotten disconnected. It's no one's fault. It's the way our society has built itself. And we've agreed to it because we were coerced. I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all. You don't need to be. I just say out loud. So I make a joke about it because I love the Kardashians' underwear. That called Skims, right? The Kim Kardashians. And I said out loud the one time, I said, "Oh my God, I love these. They fit everybody." It's true. That's what it's called. Fits everybody. And all of a sudden, I started getting advertisements on my computer for that product. And I'm like, they listen. So who are they? I don't know who they are, but the algorithm that makes us consume. So it's this constant consumer. It's the capitalism and the whole nine yards. But but here's the deal. I'm not going to go out and protest this. I want to figure out how to work with it so that it doesn't take over my life. I don't want an algorithm deciding for me. I don't. But unfortunately, that's how the system is. You can't even get people to watch your videos anymore unless you're extreme or like, I'm so boring. Right? I'm sure my social media channels would be a lot bigger if I had some extreme ideas about things, or if I got very dramatic about stuff. But I'm allergic to drama. I don't want anything to do with it. I'm not going to comment on that because I think that's a waste of my time and a waste of the people who follow me's time. Let's find our way in a gentle way through these dark, dangerous times that we live in.
Amen to that. Amen to that. It really is about leaning in what you want to see in the world, isn't it? And becoming that, and that representation of it within ourselves. I mean, the Oracle cards sound a really incredible tool for self-awareness.
They are. They are. Do you want me to pull you a couple of cards?
Sure, why not? Yeah.
Okay. So this one is the one that I teach with. It's called Wisdom of the Oracle, and this is like one of the first ones. We have since redesigned it, but anyway, so the best way is you would say, what do I need to know? Now it's an open-ended question. You can't say yes or no because then you give your power away to the Oracle too. So the idea is that the Oracle is a reflection. It's not it's not a thing you give your power over. Oh, it said, so I should, right? It's this.
Gotcha.
So what are you looking at right now? What's in your dominant field, right? So what's dominant in your field? And now when I do it, I also use my other abilities, right? So you'd have to read the guidebook, and I tell everybody read the guidebook, etc. Because I write very robust guidebooks so that people get exactly what they need. So you might want to ask a question about something you're involved in right now. You can do that. You could tell me like, what do I need to know about this project I'm involved in? That may show up, or you might say, what do I need to know in general? So it's up to you what you want to.
Okay. Here's one what's physically happening, because I'm having some major energetic releases at the moment. So what do I need to know about that?
So you got higher power. The higher power card is about trusting God, trusting the power greater than you, and not to try to, like, sometimes when we have releases that actually also show up in our bodies, and we feel out of control, we want to get controlling, right? So we clamp down on it. I'll pick a second card, like, what else do you need to know? So this one is really trust your spirit, and a change in the wind is you can't control it. So this is something that's happening that's outside of your control, but it's organic, it's natural. It's a wind, right? It's like, it's a wind that's coming through because you've called it in. Spirit's called it in. So and I'll choose another card if you want to reflect. Let's see, what else do we need to know about this? And yeah, deep knowing. It's about, you know, deep down, this, you are changing as a result of it, but you don't know the form. So you just have to really trust that deeper knowing, that heart, the knowing in the heart, that no matter where it lands, it's going to be okay.
Wow. So those cards are just randomly pulled.
I just pulled them. Yeah, I just pulled them.
That's great.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, right. So that's it. So that's how, now you would read the guidebook and it would tell you those things. But, you know, I think that was interesting. Whenever there are changes and we feel those changes, it's unknown. That's why everybody is stepping into the unknown right now. And the reason why people are screwed up is because they're trying to hold on to their comfort zone of what they know. And by the way, again, no fault, no blame. It's natural for us to do that. It is human nature to want certainty beyond all things. We want safety and certainty. We're built like that. So the stress levels of trying to figure out, well, what is happening? Is there something wrong? Like in your case, nothing is wrong. This is a spiritual, it's a reorganization, if you will.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm aware of that, but it just gets rough sometimes amongst having, you know, with the family, having kids, coming back from New Zealand. Like my flight was diverted to Christchurch on the way in, and I ended up getting 3 hours sleep the day before the event, and you know, all those things, and you're just like, holy moly. But as someone said to me, other friends that I've had on the podcast that I've gotten to know, and it's like, oh, the universe was ensuring that you fully surrender into this, so it had to make you knackered.
And
you know, and that's how I look at it. Yeah.
You know, and it's not comfortable. I think the other thing too, I think people turn to the spiritual path because they want more comfort too. And it's like, no, I don't think this is what you should be doing if you're looking for that. Because it's like the road less traveled, not easy streets, called that way for a reason. Right? And it's confronting. This is confronting. But, you know, one of the best things that's been happening, which is terrible that's happening, is when you see, and again, I will not talk about politics, but we're seeing the underbelly of humanity in many places in the planet. You know, geopolitics, and, you know, we see the loss of dignity, the loss of diplomacy, the loss of behavior, like, you know, of proper things that we could believe that meant something to us is now like it's devolving everywhere, and the lack of justice for things that we think should be. So the world is upside down right now, you know, and I think that, you know, it's actually really good that that's happening, even though it's awful, because the only way to move past that, because we will at some point, is to build something new. Right? It's okay, now this happened, now what? Now what? Right? Like we have a say in our world. We really do. We have a say. We have to have the say.
I agree. With that then, what I was curious of, because you mentioned the art of manifestation and manifesting. Yep. Now, when you say the art, you're actually speaking of actual art, right? I'm standing here right now in Lake Taupo in a beautiful retreat space. And there's a vast difference between an intellectual experience and passive listening to a fully embodied lived experience. Because that's what retreats can do. They can help you land, start to truly reconnect to yourself, to others, to nature, and to spirit as well. There's so much in it. That's why we created Live in Flow, and that's why we are so passionate about getting this work out there and bringing people together. If you want to find out more when our next retreat or event is coming up, just check out the link below. And now, back to the podcast.
I'll show you one. Yeah, so I teach a process, me and a partner. So actually, I'll show you this one. This is not finished, but I'll show you what it looks like. Anybody can do it. You don't have to be an artist. So this is what it looks like. I'll do it this way.
Okay.
Right? So it's an activation process that anyone can do. And what it does is it takes these ancient technologies that. So I met this girl. She's amazing. She was actually an art teacher, and she was in a. I joined her membership. I had tried this process that she taught, which was Russian, called Neurographica, and I didn't like it at all. So I was like, it was too heady. It was too much in the head. It was excellent. I'm sure it was very good. For a lot of people like it. But I was like, because I was already doing something of my own like that. So I'm like, I don't like it. And I got to know her as a friend, and I said, I'm developing this idea. Can I show it to you? And she had also, because that was not the only thing she taught. She taught a much more fluid. So it's very feminine and fluid, and way in which we can use markings like just circles and wavy lines to show our communication about an intention. So the art of manifesting is based on intention setting and then surrendering the form. So we actually draw the frequency lines of how we communicate to the field, the quantum field, and how it responds back to us, because it always does. It will always respond back, but often and I'm sure manifestation is a conversation that a lot of people have, but people get really screwed up with it because they think they're not doing it right if the form wasn't exactly what they had set in motion. No, it's supposed to look like this. This isn't that. But in fact, that's exactly what you were meant to have. That is the form you were given. That's what the universe gave you. That's what you were ready for. Because you don't manifest what you want. You manifest what you are. You manifest what you're capable of holding. You manifest a reflection of what your energy can hold. And so that's something not very many people were teaching. And so when she and I tested our theory, and we also did the research, we thought we need to research this to make sure that we're not nuts, right? We're both artists, right? And I'm like, and so we were both nerdy. So she's so nerdy, and so am I. It's like we love science. Like, let's get the scientists. So we did a lot of neuroscientific research as well as, anthropological. We went back in time to see where were the first markings that were made that we know it, that we have evidence for, and what were they used for, et cetera. And so there was evidence that in our primitive mind or brain, we have knowledge that's born with us about shapes. Like a baby will grab something round before it will grab something sharp, right? So we're programmed, we're built to know what is safe and what is not safe, right? So when we look at circles, they are universal symbols that we recognize in the world that we know are benign and that represent life. So we use the simplest way to make this communication possible between us and the field, because if you actually think about, and I'm sure you've manifested a ton of things in your life, how they came to you. They didn't come to you because you completely mapped it out and you got exactly that. They came through synchronicity, coincidences. Like, oh, I ran into so-and-so, and this, like how you met your wife, or you know what I mean? Like these are things that you did not design. The universe set it up for you. And that's what this is. It's about intentional synchronicity.
I was going to say, so how does that work then? How's the process? So you're setting an intention of manifestation, something you want to call forward into your life.
Yeah.
But then you're using the art then. Yeah, so please go.
So first of all, it's in the book too. You activate the paper by creating an energy on the paper that actually does change how you see the paper. But what that does is it expands your awareness, the perceptual awareness expands, and that's all neuroplasticity, right? You create an opportunity for your awareness to expand. You put a dot, right? Dots are to ancient cultures everywhere. That dot represents life, the beginning of life, etc. And then you do specific things just with a pen or pencil. You don't have to be an artist, but you do it with rehearsing a state of being. So it's the thing is never the intention. It's I intend to feel a certain way. So you look at the motive behind why do you want this thing? I want to feel like this. How are you going to feel when this happens? So you design the manifestation on a state of being. And you rehearse that because we get what we rehearse. Whatever we repeat over and over again is what we're going to start seeing out there because our brain is set up that way. The reticular activating system of the brain is specifically geared to show us whatever we've repeated over and over again, our belief systems, whatever it is, they're going to show us evidence in the outer world that that's true. That's its job. Otherwise, we would not be able to cope with the amount of information that's in the world. We can't. This is not possible. So this is how it works. Right. So we're like, okay, so we start to rehearse that. And the easiest way to do it is through rehearsing gratitude. We tell people get stupefied in gratitude for 15 solid minutes before you start this. And you just sit there and you imagine the moment that you had both gratitude and awe and reverence. And for a lot of parents, it's the first time they set eyes on their baby. Right. They're like, oh, God. Right. Da, 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 da. Like, what is this being that's staring at me? Right. For me, it's when I rescue a dog because that's all my little guys here when they come into mine and have kids. So people, sometimes they remember an awesome experience because they've seen the Grand Canyon or they've seen a mountain and maybe it's nature or maybe it's their first apartment. That the feeling when they walk in of liberation and freedom and awe and gratitude and that moment, we get you to remember that, the sense memory, and repeat it. And just keep repeating that. And that's the fertilizer is gratitude. And then be grateful and excited wherever you get, whatever it is.
So then the artwork, correct me, because I'm kind of just imagining myself doing this as we speak now, right? And getting into a state of gratitude. I'm going to the paper. Then that just naturally comes out by following the energy of what's wanting to move because you're going into that state.
And you don't do there's no straight lines. You don't try to force them. This is complete and absolute surrender. The pen goes where it wants. You follow it back. And then it's really an uncanny process. And it's actually in the book. So you really should, we should send you the book, The Art of Manifesting. You can get it in Australia. But it's really, it's not a difficult process at all. And it's a feeling thing. And then you just, once you're done and you feel comfortable that you've finished it, then you just put it away and just surrender it and then forget about it and then see what happens.
Okay. I was going to say, could you leave the artwork somewhere that keeps anchoring you in, or you just let it go?
Yes and no. I like to look at it once in a while, but I am not attached. My feeling is in there and I trust something is going to be reflected back. I know it is.
Wow. Do you hold in-person workshops with this as well?
Yes. So, yes, I do. Well, we did a big online one and we're training teachers in this is June. So I don't know when this podcast will be out, but I think we start in July. We're doing our next teacher training. So we already have 50 teachers that teach other people how to do this. And most of it's online because we have teachers all over the world now. We have teachers in Taiwan and in Greece and Australia. We have people in England and my partner's in the UK, Anna Denning. She's an incredible human and artist and great teacher. So so most of it's online so people can take it. And we encourage our teachers to have in-person workshops. It's so fun and families do it. So, we have some of my friends had parties, Art of Manifesting parties. You can buy paper that has seeds in it. You can plant it that has wildflowers in it. You can plant it in a pot. It's really cool.
Yeah, I was going to say that I can imagine that when people coming together and see what's
it's
expression
really
coming out and the the shift in the space. Yeah, that would be awesome. So have people let you know what's come back from
Oh yeah.
doing this work, like through
Yeah.
manifesting?
So
Okay.
I run a mastermind of 24 people and have for 11 years. And I do the art of manifesting in the mastermind. And it is about the emergence of self, moving from a transition from one way of being to another. And people come in, they're leaving corporate, wanting a more spiritual life, or just looking for a new way to see things. So we can track the people and right about what actually shows up for them, what manifests for them, etc. So yeah, we have ways, and we encourage people to tell us, write to us, tell us what happened, this equaled that. Like I've had outrageous experiences with this, like funny ones too. One of my drawings, I put New York Times on it because when it first came out, I typically am, I'm not particularly ambitious to have like big giant things. I've had my number one things, right? But New York Times is something I've never had, a New York Times bestseller. And so I would say, oh, I don't care about that. And then I said, well, wouldn't it be nice? It would be nice if this book became a New York Times bestseller. So what am I saying no for? So I did a drawing and I put a little symbol in New York Times. 2 hours later, now in my head, by the way, what did it mean? What does getting a New York Times bestseller mean? Well, it means that I would be able to reach more people. That's what it equaled to me. Reach more people. Because we've sold, thousands of this book. But I'm like, reach more people. So 2 hours later, we get an email from the New York Times asking me if I would like to come and teach this content to their staff. So I reached 20 more people. I flew to New York. I went to the New York Times. I did not get a New York Times bestseller, but I got exactly what it was right for me. It was perfect. It was so perfect. Same thing with
That's incredible.
Oh, no. I mean, I have like a lot because I do a drawing for everything. My assistant she was selling her parents' house and she was like, we need another house right away. So the realtor was like, well, that's not going to happen. She goes, I need it. I'm doing a drawing. I'm having another house. Like right away, I have to have the house. We can't put my parents through this. They need to know where they're going, etc. She did a drawing and 2 days later, that her house was sold and another one came on the market. They bought that house at the same day that they sold the other house and the realtor could not believe it. And it was the most perfect little house for them, right? So it's like you can line yourself up with the universe. And then if it doesn't happen, I look at it, it wasn't meant to. Something else is meant for you. Like the whole process is to teach you not to be attached.
I was going to say, yeah, because you mentioned something earlier that I wanted to dig into a little bit because I thought, yeah, that's so true about manifesting in. I can't remember how you actually framed it about essentially how the body is conditioned under the hood, like beyond the conscious mind. So we tend to mirror back reality to what's going on, right? And so then we might go into big lofty. Yeah, these big lofty ideas, but actually, is there a resonance within us that's not ready to hold that kind of frequency yet?
Right, and not to be afraid if it didn't come right away. Like, it's like, oh, you'll get a sign. Everybody gets a sign of some kind. This is the form that was right for you. And the problem is when people have big ego attachments to the way something was supposed to look, the time frame, like, oh, it should happen. Because there are other people that teach, be very specific, focus on it every day. It will come. And I'm like, be specific, but then surrender the specificity and say, this is what I want to manifest, but this is how I want to feel. This is the feeling I want to. Like, I'll tell you something amazing. Okay, go ahead.
Go. No, please tell me the amazing thing. Then I'll go.
This drawing that I'm showing you right now, I don't know if people can see the drawing, but this drawing, you'll see treble clefs and music and all kinds of stuff in there. This was the drawing that I did about the potential new music career that I just let it in there. I just put musical notes and smiling faces and little faces that were singing along. And I wanted to feel happy and fulfilled and I didn't, happy and fulfilled was really the whole point. And that I was singing the best of my, that my voice was open and that I could touch people. And everything is happening. right now that they're drawing. I am not looking to make, it's not about the money. It's not about fame. It's about getting the music to the people that will be touched by it. And I went to a place with these Australian guys, the Brothers Corn. We had no idea what was going to happen, none whatsoever. And we recorded this album in 8 days, 10 songs in 8 days, 2 4-day sessions. And we're all looking at each other going, I can't believe this is happening. And we're like, okay, let's just do it. And it was like everything I wanted, the way I feel is about this is exactly what I asked for. Where it goes now, that'll be fun to see because I don't know. But the feeling is there, and I feel it, and I'm grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. That's what it's all about, isn't it? At the end of the day,
Yeah.
in all this chaos, don't we want to put our heads on our pillows? Grateful that we made a difference. Grateful that, like, a few people heard some of the songs and cried their eyes out, and I'm like, that right there. Like, what is it that we really want? Because at the end of the day, all the hustling,
Totally.
the stuff, it's not about the stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And what's evident, just chatting to you for almost the last hour, is that you have such this fun energy around you, and you don't take anything too seriously. And that playfulness is, I think, so lost in this work sometimes, and that's where it's at. If we can let go and just be more joyous in our day and not take things so seriously all the time, things tend to flow a lot easier.
Yeah, it helps.
Yeah.
It really does help. I mean, I take responsibility seriously. I mean, I deal with the public. I have to.
Of course.
I think we have to hold ourselves to a higher standard. I think when we're impacting people's lives, when you're talking to people who are, who've had trauma, like, it's important to understand your audiences and things like that. I think that I take what I do seriously. I take the world. I know that spirit's playful, and I know that there's hope and joy and beauty at the same time as this change that is scary and frightening and dangerous and all of it. It's the full catastrophe. John Kabat-Zinn had a book, Full Catastrophe Living. And that's what we have. We have full catastrophe living. The full catastrophe, the whole thing. The kids, the dogs, the house, the money, the food, the work. It is.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Exactly that. I mean, we have a saying at our events when we're doing things is that we take the work very seriously, but we don't take ourselves too seriously, and we ensure we have fun along the way. Otherwise, we can get caught up in the minutiae of it all. And it's good to step back sometimes and just have a bit of fun with
I'm
it,
not that
as opposed to for me. Yeah,
I'm not.
Exactly. Yeah.
I tell people now, and in my classes, like I'm teaching Oracle School right now, which is my flagship course. It's a 4-month intensive. I tell people, like, go out and do this for a living if you want at the end. I don't need to certify you. The certified intuitive coach is an actual process, but I'm like, go share this with people. Go have Oracle card parties. You don't need my permission. I'm not that important. I'm giving you what I know, and you go make it yours. That's how I feel now. I wasn't always like that, by the way. I wasn't, but I am now, and I feel so much more at peace. Make it into something that works for you, and that's how I feel now.
That's beautiful. What's next for you? You just like you're
What's next?
constantly doing things. Yeah.
What's next is, so I have my regular courses. My next thing is the Art of Manifesting Facilitator training, which is great. Then I have, after that, it's the Intuitive Coach training. But in between, I'm putting together a tour that's going to bring together both myself, hopefully the Brothers Corin. We're discussing it. We're talking about how do we put our lives together and create a theater tour. So that's my plan for 2027, is to have something where I'm in front of people, more workshops, etc. So that's actually fun. I'm really enjoying that process of saying, like, let's go and be in front of people. Let's just go meet people in person.
Wow, you're an inspiration. You truly are, Colette. It's been a joy. Where can people find out more about your work so they And
Perfect.
if they want to get
So-
oracle cards, the book.
Sure. So you can go to my website, ColetteBaron-Reid.com, and just go explore it. You have free oracle card readings there. You can try stuff out or whatever. All my art is in the art thing. Or you can also go to ColetteBaron-Reid.bandcamp.com, Bandcamp, BANDCAMP.com to hear my music. So hear the next album. So you'll see all my music from the way back when. And but this latest album I'm going to be really focused on promoting that and getting it to people and hope they'll enjoy it. It's called My Dark
Wow.
Church.
I'll check it out.
My Dark Church.
My Dark
Church.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful,
My Dark Church.
phenomenal.
All right. Thank you for having
Colette,
me.
thank you so much for being on the podcast. Yeah, it's been a pleasure, mate. Been an absolute
Thank you
pleasure.
so
Really nice
much.
to get to know you.
Ditto. And by the way, just to
Thank
mention,
you, my lovely.
are Australian. If everybody in Australia watches you, take care.